Am I audible? Yeah, I am. I am. Just give me some minute. I will just put this link somewhere. We'll start in 5 minutes. Yes, I hope I'm audible. Yeah, it's been quite a long time. Hello, guys. So yeah, I'm back with another book. This is Think Straight, Change Your Thoughts, Change Your Life. So this is how you are supposed to. This is how you are supposed to think. This is how you're thinking right now. After reading this book, you will be able to think clearly. Let's see. I have not read this book. This is by Darius Fox. Let's see. Let's see. If I talk about okay, so the book starts with, if you can change your mind, you can change your life. That's good quote though. So on the content page, there are multiple uh, chapters, small chapters. You become what you think. Why do we need book on practical thinking? Clear thinking requires training. All that. So we'll directly jump to the main chapters. Okay, we'll directly jump to the main chapters. Yeah. So the first chapter is, you become what you think. You become what you think. Okay. Yeah. In 1869, a 27-year-old man who had just graduated as a doctor of medicine from Harvard was going through a crisis of meaning. This was not the first time he dealt with adversity. Throughout his years, Throughout his 6 years in medical school, his education was interrupted by different illness and bouts of depression. But this time it was worse. He even contemplated suicide for months. Damn. The young man's name was William James, who later became the leading psychologist in America and one of the founders of the philosophical school of uh, pragmatism. It took James 3 years to overcome depression. Damn. Something he did by himself. To be clear, James was not just feeling down. Editor of the writing of William James wrote about the severity of his mental state. James spent a good part of his life rationalizing his decision not to commit suicide. Damn. So they're speaking about how serious his illness was, that he was so much depressed that he was thinking to commit suicide for a very long time. During this time, James also had panic attacks and hallucinations. This was not new to him. His father faced the same agonizing things years before him. Um, this was not something new to his family. His father has faced a similar kind of things. But in 1870, James made a psychological breakthrough after reading an essay by Charles Renoir, a French philosopher. In his journal, he wrote, I think that uh, yesterday was a crisis in my life. I finished the first part of Renoir's second thesis and see no reason why his definitions of free will, the sustaining of a thought because I choose to when I might have other thoughts, need to be need be the definition of an illusion. At any rate, I'll assume for the present until next year that it is no illusion. My first act of free will shall be to believe in the free will. So he's here he is talking about when he read an essay. So here he's talking about uh, how after reading the essay of the sustaining of the thought, he will become what he will think. So he should be more controlling towards his thoughts and his belief in the free will. This realization is at core of pragmatism, the school of philosophy that James and Charles founded years later. James realized that we have ability to choose one thought over the other. So here, since it's about how you can think clearly, that talking about you always have option to think better things. You always have options to think clear thoughts. However, James doesn't say we can control our consciousness. When we sit down and observe our thoughts for a few minutes, we'll notice that a lot of things flow through our mind. The thoughts are just there, nothing we can change about that. But since we have free will, we can decide which thoughts we focus on. Yeah, exactly. Their realization is critical to the way we live. It's the difference between I can't help but feel this way and I feel this way because I decided to feel this way. Damn. Let me read it again. This realization is critical. I don't have pen right now, I guess. I guess I have. I just want to highlight this part. Give me 1 minute. 1 second. Yeah. I got the pen. It's the difference between I can't help but feel this way. I feel this way because I decided to feel this way. Yeah. The emphasis is on deciding. So you always have options. You cannot say this happened with me because this was supposed to happen with me. You always have options to control what you're going through, and that's what this book is about. With practice you can get better at controlling your thoughts, so you decide what you think, and with better control over our thoughts we can improve the quality of our lives and the outcome of our careers. That's my proposition in this book. That's what the author is telling about the book. You have the ability to decide what you think. And since the result of your life depends on your thoughts, I think it's the most important thing in life. When we improve the way we think, nothing is impossible to achieve. That simple realization changes everything. Many great thinkers have written about the importance of thoughts. Many great thinkers have written the importance about thoughts, but William James, Godfather, Ralph Waldo Emerson, who also inspired James a great deal, but put it more simply, you become what you think about all day long. So think about good things your whole day, and you'll eventually become a good thinker. I believe that's true, but we must realize that actions follow thoughts. That means you cannot change your actions without changing your thoughts. Let's start. It is clearly written. You cannot change your actions without changing your thoughts. Yeah. So the next chapter is, why do we need a book on practical thinking? The human brain is the most important tool we have. The human brain is the most important tool we have. It's most important than any technology, device, or instrument. Robert Greene, the author of Mastery, put it best: if there is an instrument you must fall in love with, and sorry, yeah, if there is an instrument you must fall in love with and fetishize, it is the human brain. The most miraculous, inspiring information processing tool devised in the known universe, with a complexity we can't even begin to fathom, and with dimensional powers that far outstrip any piece of technology in sophistication and usefulness. So here the author is describing about here the author is describing about how important it is to take care of your mental peace. Uh, Because, according to the author, a human brain is the most complex thing ever discovered. However, there is one problem. We are born with this great tool, but we don't know how to use it properly. We are highly impractical beings. We think that we are good thinkers, but research paints a different picture. We think we make practical decisions. We think we make practical decisions, but we base on logic. That's not the case. Author of Predictable Irrationality writes, we usually think of ourselves as sitting in the driver's seat with ultimate control over the decisions we make and the direction our life takes. Yes. Uh, It's safe to say we are not practical thinkers. The proof of that is the list of more than 100 cognitive biases or thinking errors that scientists have found over the last century. We often make decisions based on our gut feeling, emotions, without having the right information. I have read several books about thinking decision making. I like them, but I had one problem with all the books in this field: they were not practical. They do a great job describing why we think that way, but I couldn't find a practical book that explained me how we can change the way you think. That's why I wrote this book, little book. It contains everything I have learned about thinking. My goal is to give you at least one idea that you can use to improve your thoughts and consequently your life, business, or career. That's why I share all my best ideas here. Yeah. So here he's just talking about the book. How good is the book? Now the next chapter we are going to read is use what works. I'm not a neuroscientist, psychologist, philosopher, or any type of an expert on the topic of thinking. I'm a person who has lived his entire life under the impression that you can't control your thoughts. The way of thinking didn't serve me well. I'm happy one day, sad the next. I got angry easily and I couldn't find solutions to simple challenges I faced in my career, business, and relationships. But through experiences, journaling, reading, and lot of introspection, I have found a way to get better at thinking. So here author is talking about I'm normal human being. I get stuck at very small, mini problems. Now, but since I read a lot, I visualize a lot, I journal a lot, I write my thoughts on the book, so I know how to think better. How do I know I'm better at thinking than before? I'm no longer a slave to my thoughts and I'm much happier because of it. I use my mind and it's no longer the other way around. To me, that's the definition of better thinking. Sorry, guys. It has nothing to do with how smart you are. or how many mathematical questions you can solve. It's about using your mind to get what you want. I don't pretend to have all the answers to thinking better. I don't pretend to have all the answers to thinking better. Though, however, I do have answers to how I have used nothing but my thoughts to live a happier, healthier life. Nice. So here the author is why my hair, sir. Here the author is talking about just because I change how I think, it definitely changed the way I live my life. My life became more happier, healthier, and wealthier. I am the living proof of the change your thoughts, change your life idea. Only 3 short years ago, I was stressed out of my mind, gave up my entrepreneurial desires, and hated my life. I felt stuck. But I don't want to be too dramatic about my situation. I think we all have been there. And if you have not felt stuck in a life, it's only a matter of time before you will. It's a natural part of modern day life. I'm not trying to scare you, but you know how all these self help books, right? I was down and out. I lost all my money. I was depressed. My life sucked. But then I discovered this and I changed my life. X is, of course, the idea they want to sell you. Since I'm honest with you, I'm no different. For example, in this book, I want to sell you on the idea of useful and useless thoughts. I like the honesty of the author, honestly. He's at least being honest with us. He's being honest with us. I'm giving you my perspective, nothing more. It's just you decide what you're going to do with it. John Dewey, a pragmatist and one of the father of the functional psychology, famously said, "The true is that which works, but that doesn't mean we should believe everything we hear or read." Yeah, see the quote. The true is that which works. Okay, the true is that which works, but that doesn't mean we should believe everything we hear or read. Yeah, correct, correct. Okay, that today I'm feeling a lot sleepy. I don't know why. We'll be jumping to the next chapter. That is clear thinking requires training. Uh, I view the mind as a muscle that requires regular training to I view the mind as a muscle that requires training to keep strong. One way to train your mind is by learning new things, okay? But I always thought that learning ends when your education ends. Damn, yeah. But learning ends when your life ends. Learning is a lifelong process, right? For some, that's when they leave high school. For others, it's might when they get their bachelor's or master's degree. But once we have established a way of thinking, Once we have established a way of thinking, we hardly change it. We prefer to entertain the same thoughts because they give a sense of familiarity. We have learned that novelty is a scary thing, so we do everything to avoid it. We are creature of habits who prefer relaxing our mind instead of straining it. Yeah, right. Yeah. For example, you'll always see people saying, I need to relax and I need to watch something, some Netflix and chill to relax my mind. Because we don't want to stress our mind. That's why we want to we don't want to change the patterns that are already been created in our mind, even if it's like bad decision making. We don't want to stress our mind into thinking critically how it went wrong and how we can improve it. That makes me wonder what we need rest from. From the repetitive tasks we do at work, or from the familiar thought patterns we have. If we really think about it, we hardly strain our minds unless there is a specific reason, like a test or exam. Otherwise, we often think, what's the point? Well, the point is to train your mind. The, the point is to train your mind like you train your body to keep fit. You don't go to gym for 4 years, then quit for the You don't go to the gym for 4 years and quit for the rest of your life. So, why don't you exercise for your mind the same way for your body? That's very true. What's more, the mind is the single most important tool you have, and if you want to use that tool properly, you must train the mind. Stoic philosopher Epictetus put it best: the life of wisdom is a life of reason. It is important to learn how to think clearly. Clear thinking is not a haphazard enterprise, it requires proper training. You cannot randomly wake up from the sleep and say, I'll think clearly. It do need training, and this is what this book is about. I'm expecting that I would be able to put my thoughts more clearly after reading this book. The problem is we don't know how. We must get proper training. Yes, exactly. As Epictetus put it, for most of us life, my thoughts were out of control. I never thought about thinking. If you asked me to draw my thoughts, it would look something like this. Yeah. So he here he is saying like we exactly don't know what kind of training is a good training. If you ask me to put my thoughts, this is how my thoughts look like. What is our goal? This is our goal, right? Yeah. That mess you see up there is how the inside of my mind looked like previously. It was pure chaos, just a mush of positive, negative, sad, happy, and all the thoughts. I always thought to myself, why can't my brain stop? Where is the pause button? Looking back, I didn't know how to use my brain as a wonderful tool it is. So author is telling about himself. He himself didn't know how to think. He used to think something like this. Now he's thinking like this. This is the journey that I'm guessing this book will take us to. From chaos to clarity. This is the next chapter though. From chaos to clarity. I just have read 10 pages. Okay, from chaos to clarity. Uh, yep. In 2014, I moved to London from Leeuwarden, the Netherlands, the city where I grew up. I went from a city with 100,000 people to a city where 7 million people live. Things were harder than I expected, especially when it came to finding a place to live. After doing research and talking to my new coworkers, I learned that it was almost impossible to find an apartment in a short period of time. Instead, I decided to take a room on rent for 3 months. Then I decided to explore different areas in London, like that was near to my home. After 2 months, I found a small, affordable one bedroom apartment in Earlsfield in southwest London. I had planned everything. I cancelled the lease of the room. I rented and signed the lease for the new apartment. My parents and brother even drove over from Holland to help out. And because I didn't have much stuff, we could just use their car to move my things from the old place to the new place, which was like just 10 minutes apart. In my mind, this would be the deal. I would just pack up my stuff, get the keys to the new place, hand the keys back to the old landlord, and move into the new place. Watch Netflix and relax. Also, I expected to do everything on the same day. So here author is telling like when he was supposed to move, he thought everything would be so easy. He'll just take his keys, hand over the old key to the old landlord. He will take all his luggage. He will shift to the new place. He'll watch Netflix and chill. Well, well, things didn't go as planned after all. My new landlady changed her mind last minute and decided not to rent out her apartment. She told me this a day before the day I planned to move. All of a sudden, I had no place to live and an SUV full of my things. Like the car they are using to shift, that was full of his things, of course. That night in my parents' hotel room, I panicked big time. I don't know what to do. I have no place. My stuff is in a van. I bought you guys from Holland to work, and now I'm sitting here like an idiot. I continued blaming myself for the rest of the day and evening. You're probably thinking, really? Yes, looking back on this, I can't help but I have acted like too dramatic. Well, let's just call it like it was. I was over dramatic and not just little. That's exactly why I picked out this example because it shows how stupid I was in my thinking. I spent so much time in my head, I had lost sight of situation, I have not thought clearly, and for what? Some first problem. Come on. The next day I woke up and with the encouragements of my parents and brother, I decided to stop feeling sorry for myself and to start finding a solution instead. I said to myself, thinking straight. I said to myself, thinking straight. I knew I had to replace the mess with clarity. I wanted to get straight to the point. On the left, a mush of useless thoughts, worry, stress, suffering, confusion, not knowing what to do. On the right, one straight thought that had single useful purpose. I wanted to start using my mind as a tool. In the case of my London story, I needed to look for a solution fast. It turned out that was easy. Once I started thinking straight, I booked an Airbnb until I found a new place. In the end, we stayed in a Airbnb for a week. The landlady changed her mind again and decided to rent her apartment to me anyway. So all my stressing, worrying, and thinking were especially useless. How often does that happen? We are always so quick to judge and draw conclusions. Exactly. We usually, in angriness or something, very eagerly will take the decisions, and at the end, those decisions will not end up being well for us as well. We are always so quick to judge. We make mistakes, we change our minds, and we assume things are not true all the time. That's normal. What's not normal is to let your mind go out of control. Everything is normal. We are humans, will make mistakes. We are humans, will be. We are humans, will make mistakes. We are humans, will get angry. We are humans who will repeat the same mistake again. But you should always have your mind in your control. That's the important thing. And after many other useless thinking episodes, I decided to change. I didn't have one big epiphany or super dramatic moment that forced me to change. Life is not a Hollywood drama. People that I know only change after culmination of problems. At some point, we stand up and say, enough. And you know what? A lot of people never change at all. But that should not be our concern. After years of chaos in my mind, I had enough of mental suffering. I can't make it any prettier than that. You don't need at all. All is lost. Yeah, those kind of moments you should not even think about them. Ah, Whew. About 2 years ago, I started changing my thoughts and I have learned to replace the chaos in my mind with clarity. Now there is a place. In the rest of this book, I'll share with exactly how you can do it, how I did it. But first, I want to share a brief history of thinking. Yeah. So in the next chapter, he'll be sharing how thinking evolved with time and what was the historical observations of thinking. So some of the next chapters are a very brief history of thinking. Life is not linear. Connect the dots. Filter your thoughts. Yep, yep. And we have read approx 15 pages. This book is actually very short. I want to finish it. It is just of 97 97 pages. But the thing is, I'm having cold. I'm not able to speak well. I'm not able to articulate my voice as I want to. And that I'm not sure if I'm audible properly as well or not. Yeah, I will be audible, but the things that I want to convey, it should come in that way, right? As of now, we'll just submit it. If I want to do the live stream, maybe next time, if I change my plans, I might do it. I might finish the book today itself. But right now, I think I'll just go. Okay, then. See you again. Bye bye.